Hello beauties, I'm here to share my trip to Helen Keller's house while I was visiting my friend in Alabama. Thank you, Karen, for taking me on this tour because I learned a lot of information that I didn't know previously about Helen Keller and her family. Phoebe, having to watch little Phoebe, my mother's dog. Make sure she doesn't get out of the fence while I'm doing this. You stay close. This is the brochure that you get for the tour. Of course, when you pay for a tour, you have a guide that has about a 10-minute bit of information that they tell you more detailed than what's in here. But I'm just gonna read this pamphlet, and I didn't do any actual video footage, but I did take photos that I will put up on the screen at the appropriate times. I may have missed some photos for some of the categories and spaces they're talking about in here, but I will put up corresponding pictures accordingly. Okay, Ivy Green. It's called Ivy Green. Birthplace of Helen Keller, Tuscumbia, Alabama. If you hear screaming in the background by chance, where we're staying, it's near a park. And there must be some kind of a sports game going on. Baseball, something in the park, because I'm hearing a lot of cheering and stuff going on. So if you hear it too, just know that that's what that is. Okay, Ivy Green, birthplace of Helen Keller. The Keller home was built on a 640-acre tract of land in 1820 by David and Mary Fairfax Moore Keller, grandparents of Helen Keller. The main house is of Virginia cottage construction with 4 large rooms on the first floor, bisected by a wide hall. Each room has an individual fireplace. Upstairs, there are 3 rooms connected by a hall. Kate Adams Keller, Helen's mother, was reared in Memphis, Tennessee, a descendant of the Adams family of New England. Arthur Henley Keller, Helen's father, served as a captain in the Confederate cavalry, was the editor and publisher of a weekly newspaper, the North Alabamian, an attorney and farmer. During the war between the states, the Keller home was used as a hospital. The Birthplace cottage is situated east of the main house. I apologize for having to keep turning my head. I just want to make sure that little Phoebe's still with us. Okay. The Birthplace cottage is situated east of the main house. It consists of a large room with a lovely bay window and a playroom. Originally, the small structure was an office, but when Captain Keller brought his second bride, Helen's mother, to Ivy Green, he furnished it as a bridal suite. The famous well pump is located between the main house and the birthplace. The buildings are surrounded by English boxwood, over 150 years old, magnolia, mimosa, and other trees, as well as ivy, roses, honeysuckle, and smilax. In 1954, through the efforts of the Helen Keller Property Board and the state of Alabama, Ivy Green was made a permanent shrine and is included in the National Register of Historic Sites. The homes contain much of the original furniture of the Keller family and hundreds of mementos of Miss Keller's life, including her library of Braille books and old Braille typewriter. What to see at Ivy Green. Over here. The main house. Okay, there's the master bedroom. Captain Arthur H. and Kate Adams Keller's bedroom. Helen's parents. Quilt made by Helen's aunt, Miss Evelyn Keller, over 100 years old. Clothing and wardrobe, Helen's and Mrs. Keller's. Handmade Chinese rug, a Christmas gift, 1949, to Helen from Haji Baba Club, New York City. Photograph over mantel, Helen at age 13. Photograph on dresser, Phillips Brooks Keller, Helen's brother. Helen also had one sister, Mildred, and two half-brothers, James and Simpson. Okay, now we're moving on to the parlor. Photographs on round table, Helen, age 7, over red sofa. Helen's great-great-grandparents, Alexander Spotswood and wife. Annie Butler Brain. He was an early Colonel Governor of Virginia. Onto the hall. Photographs. Left of parlor door, Helen's parents, Captain Arthur H. and Kate Adams Keller. Helen, age 8, reading Braille. Annie Sullivan, age 20, arrived in Tuscumbia, March 3, 1887. Helen and sister Mildred. Right of parlor door, photographs of Helen, Annie and Polly Thompson. Over fainting couch, Helen reading Braille. Photo taken by Yusuf Karsh. Helen on her last visit to Tuscumbia in 1954. Then we have the dining room. China and silver pieces, family owned. Sugar chest to left. Usually only 2 shipments of sugar arrived in a year, so sugar was kept under lock and key. Jackson Press, right of fireplace, held silver, linens, and beverages. The museum says browse here at your leisure, touch Braille books and flag. I don't think I got a picture of the museum. I stepped in there for a bit, but I think I failed to get a picture of the museum. If I can find a picture online, I'll post it. Upstairs, east bedroom, the boys' room. West bedroom, Annie Sullivan's and Helen's room. And then there's the trunk room. The cottage. Originally an office where plantation books were kept, the cottage was built in the yard near the main house. Later, a dressing room and porch were added. When Captain Keller brought his second bride home, the cottage was daintily furnished for them as a bridal suite. Here, Helen Keller was born a normal child on June 27, 1880. At the age of 19 months, an illness left Helen blind and deaf. Helen's toys are displayed in the playroom. Since Helen's parents catered to her every whim, teacher soon realized she would have to get Helen away from her parents in order to be able to control her tantrums and teach her. So this cottage served as the schoolhouse. And the story that's not in this pamphlet, but they told in the tour, is that her teacher put Helen in like on a horse, and they rode around the property like all day, like a long period of time, multiple trips around the property to make Helen think that they had gone a long distance away from her parents. But yet she was in the cottage right next door to the main family home. But they did that psychologically so she would think she was away from her parents and she was just with her teacher. And so she had to kind of abide by the teacher and couldn't be distracted. There were no distractions. So she could focus on what the teacher was trying to show her. Okay, the kitchen building. The kitchen and cook's bedroom, utensils and other articles. I did get pictures of those. The pump, at which Helen learned her first word, water, located behind the main house. Annie wrote these words later that historic night. She had learned that everything has a name and that the manual alphabet is the key to everything she wants to know. There was an ice house, which I think I failed to take a picture of the ice house because I wasn't sure what it was. This building was constructed in 2009 with the help of the state of Alabama. In the 1800s, Captain Keller would travel 6 miles to the Tennessee River in late January and early February to harvest ice for the summer. The ice plow was a weighted, horse-drawn contrivance with a row of sharp teeth which cut a narrow furrow 6 inches deep. Ice was hauled to the ice house by horse and wagon. Layer by layer, the ice was placed in the ice house, sprinkling sawdust between each layer. This made it easier to separate when the ice blocks were taken out. After the last layer was stored, it was covered with a thick layer of sawdust to help keep the ice throughout the summer. Servants would use a ladder to go down into the ice house to store the ice and also to retrieve ice for everyday use. A drain at the bottom of the ice house kept the ice free of melted water, as moisture melts ice as quickly as heat. Okay, the gardens. The Shoals master gardeners design, build, and maintain the flowering beds on the grounds. Using examples from Helen's writings, they seek to capture Helen's memories of the gardens by using her favorite plants. The rose garden between the house and cottage contains heirloom roses and fragrant plants. The herb bed by the kitchen contains aromatic culinary and medicinal herbs and edible plants. And the butterfly garden in the backyard has plants that attract birds, bees, and butterflies. Excuse me. The Japanese garden showcases the Japanese lantern, one of the many gifts she received. Lyons International Memorial Garden. From fountain to brick fence, displayed are gifts given to the Keller Shrine in honor of Miss Keller from many different countries. The Clearing. Through the Iron Gates is the Alabama Federated Garden Club's District 1 tribute to Helen Keller. Included are many native trees and shrubs, a log cabin, gazebo and moon tree, a pine tree grown from a seed flown to the moon in U.S. spaceship. The city of Tuscumbia acquired the birthplace of Helen Keller, which is situated on a 10-acre tract of land, in 1951. The dedication ceremony was held June 27, 1952. Helen graduated from Radcliffe College in 1904. With teacher by her side at all times, Helen was actively identified with the American Foundation for the Blind from 1924 until her death, June 1st, 1968. Anne Sullivan Macy was teacher and companion to Helen from March 3rd, 1887 until her death, October 20, 1936. After that, Polly Thompson, who had been their secretary since 1914, became her companion. And what amazed me, and what I didn't realize, is that her teacher, that Anne Sullivan Macy, Helen's teacher, was also blind. That blows my mind. A blind person teaching the blind, which I guess there's no better person because they can better associate and know how to explain. But that still is just amazing to me. These are remarkable people, and I'm just so inspired by them. Okay, The Miracle Worker. The Miracle Worker, the play written by William Gibson, is produced each summer on the grounds of Ivy Green. It is now the official outdoor drama of Alabama. The Helen Keller Festival takes place annually the last weekend in June at Tuscumbia Spring Park and in downtown Tuscumbia. Gazebo. In 1981, the Southern Dames of America built the gazebo to honor Helen Keller, who was made an honorary member of the National Society Southern Dames of America during the 1964 National Assembly held in Washington, D.C. The gazebo is located in the clearing. I was just fascinated by this tour and by the information that I learned about Helen Keller, and it was really a treasured experience, and I'm so grateful that I got to go and experience it. I hope that if any of y'all are in the area, that y'all would stop by and take a tour of your own. The other day when I was looking up something, I found there is a non-profit YouTube channel for Helen Keller, and I'll find it again and I'll post it in the description box under this video. And if any of y'all are interested, they have a lot of videos of her speeches and just more information about her that you may find interesting if you'd like to to dig deeper into her life and her story. One little bit of information, and of course I won't release names, but one of my subscribers that I've become a friend, that I consider a friend now, her sister actually wrote to Helen Keller, and Helen Keller wrote her back. How awesome is that? You know, that is, it's just a small world, and it's just amazing. That is just, that's a special thing, is to have had Helen Keller write you back. That is a special gift. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. I hope that I did this justice. I didn't do any video footage because I was actually a little bit fatigued that day after my trip the previous day, going to Alabama, so I just took photos. But I think that you will maybe get the gist of it, and that it will inspire you to go check it out if you're in the area. Thank you all so much for your love and support. I appreciate each and every one of you, your prayers, and for coming back time and time again to watch my videos. Thank you so much. I'm just outside enjoying this glorious, beautiful day. I need some fresh air. It'll help my illness, and it's just wonderful to be outside and in this wonderful, wonderful garden at the house that I'm staying. So thank you all so much. God bless you all, and until the next video, I pray that you all are blessed in Jesus' name.